who is the leader of the Alliance of Social Democrats movement and is the aspiring presidential candidate for the Alliance of Social Democrats come 2026 elections, presidential elections in the Gambia. So we are gathered here to discuss with the Gambians through your media important issues and pertinent issues that are affecting the lives of the Gambians, both economically, socially, and politically. So here I introduce Madam Marisol. Before then, I want us to have an opening prayer in our own ways to the occasion, the reason why we are gathered here. My name is Bakari Sebi, Alliance of Social Democrats member and the National Campaign Manager for the Alliance of Social Democrats movement. Madam Marisol, journalists and media houses present here as participants for this press conference. I am honored to deliver this statement on behalf of the Alliance of Social Democrats movement. The Alliance of Social Democrats movement has been existing in this country since 2020. The organization has great emphasis on the social justice, rule of law, and democracy dispensation in Gambia. Having a rich 10 cardinal points manifesto that seeks the inclusivity of the national unification and harmonization of all tribes, religions, and gender-based tolerance in Gambian society. Notably, the Alliance of Social Democrats advocacy and campaign trends has gained significant impact on the political dispensation in Gambia. The ASD believes in non-partisan politics. When I say ASD, is the sorting of Alliance of Social Democrats. That's why we presented the only female independent presidential aspirant for the 2021 presidential elections in Gambia. Our concern for the Gambia populace, especially the women, has placed us to maintain a female candidate for the upcoming 2026 presidential elections in Gambia, in the person of Madam Marisol, Secretary General and leader of the Alliance of Social Democrats movement. Today's press conference is convened to create a synergy between the ASD and the Gambian electorates, that is the Gambian voters, those who vote. Notably, the Gambian governance system is manifesting great malfunctions in their service delivery to the nation. This current sitting government was voted into office in 2021. That is the current government we are having now, through a democratic election victory with majority, but democracy don't stop there. It requires an interrogation. This press conference, furthermore, is organized to talk to the Gambian people through this press conference. Our current sitting government hasn't delivered what is expected of them so far since 2021. But for the masses to get this understood, we convene this press conference for those media houses present here to relay the information to the Gambian people. The Gambia's security sector reform, civil service reform, access to information, accountability, and transparency, as well as rising price of food commodities are alarming and require the sitting government intervention and redress. The Gambia's education system is suffocating due to the underfunding of programs that fix structures and our curriculum. Our national development plan has been implemented with misplaced priorities. This misplacement has hijacked our agricultural delivery system, due to the state's underfunding of the agricultural sector, and agriculture contributes 21% of Gambia's gross domestic product, that is the GDP. Our tourism sector requires re-examination and total rebranding to attain its purpose. Our health sector is not responding to needs of the Gambians. Recent increase in murder cases and armed robbery has left the population in fear and frustration. Our security efforts to curb these menaces is weakened. Some of the officials in the presidency has now become an open campaign team for the NPP on Facebook. Instead of going to work in the office, they sit on the Facebook talking to politicians, including those charged with key responsibilities that are supposed to advise the president on matters of national interest. The most recent controversy is the president's statement on the third term bid. The ASD has great regards for laws, policies embedded in the Gambian constitution, and therefore we understand that the Gambian current constitution, the 1997 version that we currently have, did not provide for a term limit for presidency in Gambia. Our most consultative draft constitution 2020, which provided for such laws, has not been enacted and is gathering dust in our National Assembly building. ASD hereby advocates for the Gambians to understand that term limit is in our own votes. Whether limit or not limit, if we vote massively to disengage anyone, we can achieve what we want. Let's vote for change in 2026 overwhelmingly, and this will solve the term limit. The reason for leaders to monger for continuing to stay in power is because ASD, our opinion on the Gambian President Adama Barrow's statement on why he chose to pursue a third term in office, stating that his political party, the NPP, is so young, that's why he couldn't step down, because if he does so, the party is going to die. So this is making us believe that you either use the presidential powers or the resources of the state to strengthen the party, because political parties are growing and they are not in the in Marina Parade. ASD hereby advocates for Gambians to understand that still term limit is in our votes. This is one of the reasons why the Alliance of Social Democrat Movement remains a change agent, and our candidate aspired as an independent aspirant in elections and not a party politic, because party politics have a centered interest. When a group of party people come to take over the estate, the first thing they think of is individual compensation and order. That is why for us at ASD, we don't go in for partisan politics. We advocate for better voting for Gambians, wise voting. While we have our candidate, if you are elected in as president, we will remove you without partisan interest. That is one of the reasons why they remain. This is one of the reasons why the Alliance of Social Democrats Movement remains a change agent of our candidate as we aspire for elections in 2026. When a political party is elected into office, most of the time it serves the interest of their donors, you know, those who fund political parties. Yes, political party must be funded. Political parties must be funded by the membership of the party. And political party funds must be declared. There has to be a transparency. They must show how the funds come out. Yes, our IEC, when strengthened and then know what they are doing, there should be some laws that will coordinate the source of funds for political parties, and you have to declare it. the need for transparency in political parties' financial source. The presidency is entrusted with the national treasury, our national treasury, to empower the people only and not the ruling party politics. The presidency is again vested with the power that belongs to the people, but not to monger influence. That is, you monger influence to get donors because they expect something in return because you are sitting in Marina Parade. So by the president's statement, one may suggest that the key influence that one can use to empower your ruling political party as an incumbent is only through the presidential vested powers and the use of state resources to finance or be financed by donors of special individual political interest. This is the best time for Gambian electoral process. The Independent Electoral Commission and other democratic institutions to set an eye on political parties' financial disclosure and clearance of source, especially the incumbent in election. The incumbent here, I mean, is the sitting president, the party he belongs to. Over the course of Gambians' experience in politics, it has witnessed the negative impact of money on politics and governance. There is increasing evidence that corruption and unregulated donations are exercising undue influence on politics and undermining the integrity of elections. In the Gambia, money from organized crimes has infiltrated politics to gain control over elected officials and public institutions. That brought corruption. Corruption can cause very serious consequences. These threats to democratic politics help explain why large numbers of people around the world are losing faith in politicians and democratic processes. Opposition political parties and change agents trust government less because of the ruling political party's influence on big donors. Yeah, because they are the one who can influence big donors to come and build political houses for them and then do all other things. The need to regulate and control undisclosed political financing transparency is instrumental to democracy and security, which serve as a major challenge to the integrity of elections in emerging and mature democracies alike. Democratic institutions and our National Assembly must ensure regulated political finance is included in our electoral law. Yes. If not, it can diminish political equality, provide opportunities for organized crime to purchase political influence, and undermine public confidence in elections. Indeed, a failure to regulate political finance threatens to hollow out democracy and rob it of its unique strength. That's what it does. Citizens of the Gambia want political parties and governments to represent their views and be responsive to their needs when elected into office. All too often, parties are disproportionately representative of the interests of the donors. Instead of the interests of the people, now they will be there for the interests of the donors. We are all seeing some of the things that are going on, some of the awards of contracts by government and other things is as a result. Largely finance them because if large corporations and rich individuals are able to buy greater influence through large campaign donations, yes, when it is time to campaign, whoever donates largely to certain sitting governments, you are their priority. Then citizens can lose faith in or be marginalized from the political process. That's what happened to us. This is compounded by a lack of citizen participation in political parties. Gambian citizens should participate in political parties and political process, which further adds to people's alienation from politics. Although the funding of electoral campaigns and political parties has an important role in the functioning of democracy, unregulated money in politics means that the political playing field is not level. The explosive growth in campaign expenditures fuels the perception that wealth buys political influence and threatens political equality. The abuse of state resources by the ruling party to put itself in advantageous position also remains a problem in this country, in many countries. This lack of level playing field prohibits the equal participation and representation of all citizens in democratic political processes. Recent years have seen a growing penetration of transnational organized crime and illicit funds into politics. Electoral finance and lack of transparency and oversight are providing opportunities for organized crime to gain influence over political party elected officials by financing their campaigns. This not only undermines democracy, good governance, and the rule of law, but also has negative consequences for economic development and the alleviation of poverty. There is clearly an urgent need to better control political finance. Governments should regulate political donations and expenditures effectively. This will require full transparency and disclosure of donations with penalties for non-compliance. Effective monitoring and enforcement of regulations are also crucial. This is the reason Madam Marisok of the Alliance of Social Democrats movement shall remain a change advocate and an independent presidential candidate till 2026. In conclusion, the ASD shall continue and strengthen its advocacy and campaign, and the Gambian society, and we will not relent. We will continue strengthening our campaign, both up and at the grassroots, to ensure that the following is achieved in Gambia. One, social justice, rule of law, and democracy, not limited to, but some of these things we must see that they happen before, and we won't relent in our campaign. Society free of corruption and oppression. Government for the people, by the people, and of the people. Government prioritize the inclusivity and rights of women and girls. Prioritize the security of the inhabitants of the society by getting rid of murderers and armed robbers on the street of the Gambia. We have all seen what happened, I can say last week. Just we have four murder cases in different locations within the Gambia within four days. That happened. It's really alarming. Our security situation is going into the mud, definitely. And then prioritize the security of the inhabitants of the society by getting rid of murderers and armed robbers on the streets of the Gambia. A term limit clause is embedded in the Gambian society. We want to see that a term limit clause is embedded in the Gambian constitution. We cannot get it there now, it's gathering dust. But when we vote against the sitting government, we will be able to put it back there in the next dispensation. Access to justice and information are promptly served to the citizenry. They have constituted a commission for information to justice. But I don't believe they respond rapidly when you request for information. And that is the key reason for them. And we shall jealously guide and protect the sovereignty of the Gambia from being bottled and confined to where it doesn't belong. We, ASD, would want to see the sovereignty of the Gambia protected, and that it is not being bottled by any individual, group, or a nation, and confine Gambia to a small space where we don't belong to. We'll make sure we don't see that. May God bless the Gambia. Thank you all.
State manager has said it all. And the reason why I have him read it, because he's under the ASD, and this is what we stand for, and this is what Alliance of Social Democrats stand for. So he has basically said everything that I want to say, but I will still elaborate on all the issues that Gambians and Gambia is going through at this precise moment. It saddens me that we have a country where our people, and I'm talking about the electorates, are complacent and easy to forget about everything that they go through. And it makes it hard for us as politicians to even try to fight for the rights of the people if the people themselves are beginning to have lapses in memory of what they have gone through and what is happening or has happened in the country. Mr. Sedi talks today about transparency. There is absolutely no transparency in the Gambian government system. And I think that is lack of respect to the citizens of the Gambia. As a citizen, these are your rights to know how your government operates. These are your rights to know what is happening in your country. That way you know whether the country is moving forward for the betterment of you, your wife, your children, your grandchildren, and your great-grandchildren. A government is the people. That means you, the people, are the government. The people that are in the government, these are the executives. Basically, we as a government have selected people who are the executives to represent us. Now, how can we select people to represent us, but then they go in there and forget that we put them there? And this is exactly what is happening in the Gambia today. That is why we are at a pivotal point right now where we are asking ourselves, oh, is the president stepping down or is he not stepping down? We don't know as citizens because everything is kept in the dark. Tey bu fekkee ne dañoo wax ci gor, nit ki da nga am gor. Den ñi nga xam ne tey yéen ñeena leen taxawal ngeen dugal leen ci biir office tey war nañoo mun a wax feeñali leen li nga xam ne moom lañ nekk di def parce que ñun ñëpp ñooy nguur gi ñoom ñoo nekk rek ñi nga xam ne dañ leen taana pour ñu toppatoo koom-koomi nguur gi ñi nga xam ne moom la ñu ooyee exécutif tey su fekkee ne lu nekk dafa nekkoon transparent den waruñ ñoo nëbbu pour xam ndax président bi dafa wàcca ndax du wàcca tey ñu ne lan mooy gor lan mooy integrity. Integrity means that even though constitution bi amanguñ constitution bu ees ñu ngi dili-dali constitution bi since 2016 2017 ñu ngi dili-dali di foyantoo xeli nit ñi tey ñu ngi wax ne waaw since 1997 la am na right. No, man maa ngi wax Adama Barrow, président Adama Barrow, maa ngi laa ñaax di la ñaan si turi Gambian si yépp ne nga consider for the sake of morale and integrity nga wàcca ci jàmma nga wàcca ci jàmma Gambian si mun a xam sax fi ñoo jëm ak fi ñoo féetee nga am respect sa famille am respect sa doom yi am respect parce que Gambian bi du téye dara si xolam. Gambian bi su gisee ne defal nga ko dara day fàtte sax métit comme que Gambians ñoo mun a toog tey di wax ne na Yaya Jammeh ñëw just to show you how Gambians are seen xol bi dara nekku fa waaye bul jël advantage ne because Gambians yi they are docile dañ mun a fàtte wala dañoo wax rek bu yàggee ñu bàyyi nga ne léegi dangaa toog continuer because sa party members yi ñoo la wax nga continuer parce que parti bi dafa young. I am very disappointed, Mr. President. Parce que yow tey dafa mel ni yow tey sa party members yi boo nekkutee nguur they're not standing for you. You have to read in between the lines, Mr. President. If you read in between the lines of what they're telling you, they're basically telling you that when you are not a president, they're not going to stand with you. They're only there with you to strengthen your party, which they're lying to you. And I say it again, they're lying to you. so that they can feed off of you like vultures. But they're not there for you. They're not there for the people of the Gambia. At the end of the day, they will turn around and say that, Mr. President, they did more bugon, ñun defuñ dara. We have seen that in the time of Jawara. People were blaming Sir Dawda Jawara. People were saying that Sir Dawda Jawara stole this, stole that, only for Gambians to realize that Sir Dawda did not take anything. He was a modest man. It was the people around him that were manipulative. The same with President Yahya Jammeh. Even though all the atrocities that he caused, I'm not going to minus that from what he did. But today, if he would come to justice, let us hear what he will say. Let us hear what he will confess to. Because Gambians, there's an attitude and there's a habit in the Gambia. They never take responsibility of their actions. Take decision being a make ni. Bo warona wacha. Dañoo ne du ñoom ñoo la ko wax. Yow yaa ko decidal sa bopa. So continue is the same thing. And when you continue and you fail, and Gambians don't vote for you, Mr. President, mark my words, you would have regret, or you would regret to have listened to them. Gambians are angry, Mr. President. Gambians are angry. I came from the airport. From the airport all the way to the house, I have been upset. At the airport, Mr. President, I saw an immigration officer. There was plastic bag floating around. And I said to him, I don't know if it's immigration or if it's just airport security. I said to him, this plastic bag is floating around. Can you pick it up? Simple thing like that. He said he's calling somebody else. I said, you don't have to call somebody else. You can pick it up. I said, I am coming into the country. Imagine I'm a guest to the country and I see plastic bags floating inside the airport. Mr. President, they can be telling na. They can be telling na. Ni joge si diaspora bi wacha, everything is dirty. Everything is dusty. Mr. President. Sa nit ñi la wor nekkuñ di liggéey. Sa executive si nekkuñ di liggéey. That is why they all want to continue. That is why they all want to stay in power. But at the end of the day, dafa dal si yow ak sa njaboot. Fi exile nañ fi ñaari president. Sir Dawda Jawara was out in exile. Legi President Jammeh out in exile. Mr. President, do you want to go out in exile? We want to stop that. I, Marisol, as an independent candidate, buma yalla maye nguur te nga def li la war, man duma la exile. Because doomi réew mi nga mun nga tok fi. Waaye nak suñ xaalis bi fu mu duga dinañ ko wara xam. Te yomba na bu fekkee na yow defuloo dara. It's very simple. And there is life after the presidency. Tay presidents yu bari in West Africa, they have so much to do. They're going out to other countries, mediate. There's so much chaos in Africa. Because right now, Africa nge he ak West bi. And Africa has to liberate itself. So we don't need distractions, Mr. President. We don't need distractions because we have a bigger fight to fight as Africans. For Africa to come, look at Burkina Faso. They are flying. You look at Senegal, our neighbor. Mr. President, it is an embarrassment right now to say I am a Gambian. Why? Because fi lañ sul suma njubax bi. Motax ma muna taxaw mané man Gambian la. Because I'm proud to be born in this country. No European country made me. No American country made me. Mang la ñaax ci turi doomi Gambians. Ak Gambians at large. Nga tek ñi la advice fale te nga def li nga xamne tay mun nga doxantu biir Gambia te kenn du la wax dara dinañ la respect sax man loolu laa am pour wax la Mr. President léegi di waxtaan nag ak askan gi askani Gambia tollu na foo xam ne caaxaan passé na fii amut kii jigéen la kii góor la kii lii la seet leen ki nga xam ne moo leen doy ngeen taxaw ngeen jóg def 2016 moo raw li Sénégal def si seen election bi bu lañ ko tuutil. What we did in 2016 was greater than any country what they did. But we, the Gambians, we are not proud of ourselves. We think we don't do great things. Gambians do the greatest things, but minimize it to nothing. We did something that no one did. No bloodshed spilled in the Gambia in 2016. And we did what we did. And we can do it again. The only difference is when we do it this time, we will not have all political party leaders be ministers. That was a mistake. That was an error. I am against political party system in the Gambia. This political party system has been embedded in our system since colonial eras. The colonialists gave us this system. Empower one man, we control that one man, and that one man control the narrative of his people. Out with that system. We need electoral reforms. This is directed to the IEC. We need electoral reforms. We need to revamp our political sphere in the Gambia. We need security reforms. My dear, we need all kinds of reforms in this country for this country to go forward. My fellow Gambians, don't be complacent. Don't be relaxed. Joglen, li soñ dëkk la du pour yéen su fekkee ne mag ngeen pour xale yi la pour ndaw yi la dem leen si embassy bi dem leen fi nga xam ne tey ñu ngi waxee ne xale nan ñëpp dem sign pour dem Spain seen yaram dina daw over 1,000 youth suñ góor yi 1,000 wanting to go to Spain to do what? To go and pick oranges. Can you imagine? Tubaab yi sax dañoo ree pour ñu dem Europe pour for mango pour for sorans waaye ñu mun nañu am opportunité bu gën a baax loolu fii si biir seen dëkk mun nañu am opportunité bu gën a tane boobu seen dëkk te mun nañ fee taka jabar mun nañ fee nekk kilifa seen biir dëkk waaye ñoom ñëpp because of coono bi fi nekk ñu ngi bugg a daw pour dem fori sorans lii dafa daw yaram dafa ruslu tey dëkki Afrique yépp a ngi xeex pour taxaw from North Africa to South Africa ñépp a ngi xeex pour Gambia pour Africa liberate boppam ñun Gambia ñu ngi daw ba tey si nit ku weex ki ñun Gambia ñu ngi daw ba tey si der bu weex bi ah luñ soxla ñu dem si der bu weex bi di ñaan we are beggars. How are they going to treat our citizens? Even ñi dem pour fori solans go and see how they will maltreat Gambians. How many calls do I get from Turkey? Our people in Turkey being maltreated. How many calls do I get from Mauritania? How many political leaders can say the same? Ñëpp ak ma call because one jigéen la yaay la I can only do so much. Maa ngi ñaax askani Gambia. Ngeen jógal seen njaboot yi. Ngeen jógal seen doom yi. Mr. President yaa ngi am njaboot. Loo yàgga si nguur benn bés di nga wàcca te bés booy wàcca billahi mun na am ma nekk fi wala duma fi nekk waaye kaay jël nguur dina la exile li ma laa ñaan nag nga xoolaat sa boppa xoolaat sa surrounding xoolaat ñi la wër te déglu nit ñi parce que nit yaa la fa teg déglul askan bi askan baa la fa teg parce que tey askan boobu moo laa save askan boobu moo laa sowe boo génnee aka ñoo am yërmande waaye ñii la wër xam nañ lu tax ñu ne la nga toog te political party am na political parties yu bari yu fi nekk nekkuñ si nguur but they are strong without being inside a system yow tey bu fekkee ne xel am na dangaa génna nga sanca sa parti bi di oo nit ñi ñëw xëj na ni nga wàccee sax teel a wàcce dina tax sa parti bi gën a strong because ñu bari dinañ la xalaataat la te dinañ bokki because amuñ fenn fuñ dem because it's a young party waaye bul jël nguur ne pour nga dëgëral déedéet ñoom dañ la ko wax pour dëgëral seen poos am nañu dugga barka démba sa biir government seen poos yi feesaanguñ amuñ fa sa at they need to develop dañ am pour am koola comme ñeneen yi so they will tell you anything to make you ride another 5 years But Mr. President, another 5 years from 2026 is a long time, and a lot can happen. You are pushing the Gambians where it is not necessary to push them. Wallahi, you are pushing the Gambians where it's not necessary to push them. Because nit ki lum su hiifee be hiif be romba dafa am point boy romba si hiif li moo def sa du ànda sagom gis nañ ko Sénégal de ba Macky Sall toogee bañ ne du dem be di create problème yàlla wàcca na parce que yàlla foog mu dégg doomi Adama te booy julli di ñaan di julli 5 times a day di ñaan yàlla borom bi yàlla may la nguur teg la fa bon war ngaa déglu yàlla war ngaa togga yàlla ne ko Papa God o nga ne ko Allah ya Allah give me direction te direction bim laa jox mooy sa integrity mooy lan sa two term even su nekkul si constitution Gambian si naw la Gambian si taacul la Gambian si xam ne mashallah def na liggéeyam bu fekkee ne bëgga ngaa dugaat si nguur am nga opportunity dajale nga xaalis ba bari am nga opportunity toogaat another time maybe in the next 10 years or so boo gisee ne ka fa toog nekku di liggéey nga dawaat wala keneen sa biir parti taxawaat a political party dafa yàgg lii moo tax ma ne no to political parties anymore in the Gambia dañ soona political party bu duga sa boppa ngaa seet sa nit ñi ngay seet doo seetati anybody outside the government sa congress bi nga def there was hardly any civilian there. Your congress was full of the government officials. Ndax loolu jar na ndax loolu correct na all your government officials they are all NPP. They're all NPP. That alone, Mr. President, is wrong. That alone, Mr. President, is wrong. Politicians have talked and talked. I think they're just tired. I think they're just giving up. Right now, ñëpp a ngi give up. Bul seet ne ñëpp a ngi laa bokk si, they're coming and you're scoring political points. Separate politics and government. Politics is politics. This is why we have a movement, because we don't want to repeat this same nonsense. Going into office with political party is an independent candidate that will have people from different backgrounds and religion working to serve our Gambia. Working together as team to save the Gambia. Because this political party, all it has brought to Gambians is grievance. It's always one sector. Right now, it's at its worst, Mr. President. Over 1,000 young Gambians going. Di leen wax ne di massa nag Gambian si waaye di leen massa wi si kaw ne ngeen jóg takka seen liggéey na yaay yëpp jóg takka seen liggéey parce que seen doom yaa nga sonna tey di nga am doom 35 years old ngay ko jox ba tey handout yow yaay ji instead of moom mu dem liggéey ñëw may la tey yow yaay ji yaay def loolu. It's sad. Di wax loolu tege boor suñ former president Yaya Jammeh tamit jóg joxe kàddu waaye li ma am pour wax si kàddu boobu comme niñ wax jaruta tontu jaruta tontu waaye in a way jar naa tokki tontu politically. Mr. President bu Ba Ousseynou ne kii nga génn nga wax bu Essa Faal ne kii nga génn nga wax yaa ngi politique 24/7 but we have a national issue. What is the national issue? The national issue, former president declares that he wants to come home. Yes, you might decide not to respond, but the problem is there should be a response and a very proper response. Because Gambians don't know what was signed on that document. And we need to know what was the agreement. If we know what the agreement is, maybe we will move on. Maybe then we will know what to respond. Because when we know what was signed, what the agreement was, then it is okay to say, okay, lii moo tax Yaya Jammeh ne dafa bëgg a ñëw. Waaw na ñëw citizen la. Waaye liñ ko war a def wala su fekkee ne lu waa dafa war a tegu si moom mu tegu si moom waaye fii dëkkam la mun naa ñëw. Wala su fekkee ne li ngeen xam ne dafa sign da ngeen ko sign waruta ñëw. Then you have ne waruta ñëw. Why come out and let us talk, your Minister of Communication, before coming out and miscommunicating everything, this is something he could have come out and communicated properly so that Gambians, they have the right for information. They have the right to information. Speculation dafa bari, wax bi dafa bari. Waaye soo gisee tey former President Jammeh mun a toog Equatorial Guinea di remote control Gambia because of the leadership. Moom si boppam bam toogee bañ ne Saa Dawda moom si boppam dafa ne ku fi tudda Saa Dawda wala ku bugg a indi Saa Dawda mu di la yow. Kenn ñemeenu ta wax Saa Dawda be moom bi mu paree mu pardon Saa Dawda exi. Waaye yow Mr. President, what country are we? The other day maa ngi seetaan Senegalese TV ñu ne jigéeni Gambia yi ñoo am fit ñoo dëgër waaye seen góor yi day moom dañaa xaw a yambar lu tax because da ngeen góor yi toog si palaas dañ not suñ góor yi dañ leen not opportunity joxantuñ leen son góor yi jox leen suñ góor yi benn opportunity actually góor bu nekka ngee gangalante sa moromi góor so they cannot help them waaye jigéen bu dem ne salaamaaleykum dinañ ne come and sit down, you want coffee, you want tea, because ñu ngi xalaat naka la ñoo tëddoo yow balañ laa mun a dimbali. Mr. President, dëkk bi tumuranke nañ xale yi tumuranke nañ. It's high time nga xalaataat sa toogaay bala nga xalaat ne dangaa dem ba taataam xalaatal sa toogaay seetal sa wet ñi la njege seetal sa wet ñoom ñoo ragal waaye yow waruloo ragal pour wàcca ñoom ñoo ragal parce que xam nañ lañ def. Man kàddu yooyu la am tey pour dolli xool fees na because it's very emotional. Ni ma demee ñëw gis Gambia suma yaram daw na. Gambia dafa tilimbe it's like a norm kenn xalaatut kenn def liggéeyut ana councilors yi ana suñ mayors yi ana government officials yi. It's nice to drive a nice car, but how can you drive a nice car in a country like this? How can you bring proper investors to invest in countries like this? Come all the way to Brusubi Turntable. You see how dirty, no flowers, and a flower pot. Bima wane yena ngi jëna Mickey Mouse flower pot. Faale wu leen ma. So leen jëndoon giant flower pot. I want the people to put camera on these flower pots. Even if they would have put this flower pot, nobody can carry it. But you put Mickey Mouse flower pot underneath the weighbridge. And where are they? They are stolen or they are broken. Loolu yëpp wax naa ko fi. Dëkk dafa war a set. Ñi ñëw ñu mun a invest. Ndaw yi amuñ course pour génn si dëkk bi dem uti liggéey. They can stay right here and work, Mr. President. Man tey lii la am pour wax ci Gambian si, wax si askani Gambia bi, because nañ leen de génn di wax. Bu leen toog di noppi. Political leaders yi bu leen soona. Nañ leen wax. Man nak, I am an independent candidate. As an independent candidate, comme ni ma ko wax, it's high time ñun jigéen ñu lead. Ñu ngi ut endorsement. Ñu endorse, ñu toog, ñu waxtaan. Ñu mun a yóbbu dëkk bi kanam, ñu liggéey as a team. Ñu yóbbu dëkk bi kanam. Loolu ala am pour wax tey. Thank you also very much. Wassalam.
Thank you.
Questions were basically more or less the same. It's about our democracy. And also, you've already mentioned about the president talking about going third term. That's already really a risk, or it's destabilizing our democracy. We need to also define what democracy is, because a lot of countries will sell democracy only to sell it. But when we do talk about a country and we're selling it to as, democratic, then there are certain values that we need to adhere to. And at this point, our democracy is at risk, or it's at a point where it's fragile. It is fragile. We have a president who 1 minute he said he will stay 2 terms. We have a president who was supposed to sit 3 years, then continue to 5 years, now 2 terms. Now he wants to go 3rd term. We have an ex-president that is talking about coming back, and that people will know and threatening. So these are all threatening issues that are threatening our democracy. Not only our democracy, our peace and stability. And if the president, the sitting president, Adama Barrow, is talking about peace and stability all the time, which is like a sing-song now in his vocabulary, then the example should come from him first. Because Gambia is not stable as far as the people. Everybody's angry. Everybody's shaky. If you say hello to somebody, they think you're coming to insult them because of what? Instabilities. So that, for me, creates a big instability in our democracy. Your other one about my presidency, what am I going to do? Yeah. Well, you all know about my project. I have already projects that I, created, which was a rice project, which I already even presented to the government. I have so much to do for Gambia so that we can sustain ourselves, even trying not to have outside aid. Because we have our farms, we use only 3% of our arable farms. Only now, probably they said they're growing with jar oil, I think, but we are yet to see that to come into fruition. We have fruits, we have vegetables, we don't have storage facilities, we don't have anything. We have our ports, we have our airport. Gambia is a hub, is an international hub for West Africa. This is the hub for West Africa, but we have sold ourselves to Senegal. We have outsourced everything, basically, and at some point we are fragile. But we can look at all of that to bring that back. And for us to be able to sustain the country, these are very important key areas that we have as Gambian, our SOEs and all this to sustain Gambia to develop. And you will have access, if you want to read my manifesto, it is all there for you to see. So let's keep it brief. That's why I summarized everything for you. Yes. So it's brief because we cannot be here all day. Thank you so much. Thank you, Fatu Network.
My name is Momusa.
Democrats is not a political party. I will say that once and for all. I think I've said that so many times. Alliance of Social Democrats is an organization. And in the Gambia, we don't have a clause at the registrar to register, for example, a political movement. So they have to put it under the category of an organization. But as an organization, it's a pressure group. It's a pressure group for a presidential candidate. So whether I'm in office or out of office, they're going to keep that person or that elected person account. That's why they call it Alliance of Social Democrats. So people can join, people can vote for one person, come together, put that person in his office. If that person is not performing the first year, they put that person out and take somebody else. Because we want to have a Gambia, a unified Gambia. So it is not registered with, it's not a political party. And I'm making that very clear. I just said that we are not into political party. The political party system needs a whole reform. It is not working for the Gambians anymore. It is just empowering one man, and that's it. And once they go into office, everybody else is not part of the government, even though the people are the government. But once that party goes into the State House, that is it. It's only the sitting president and the cabinet that conforms that political party. Even if you want business, you have to be part of that party before you get that business. So this is why I told you that we are not a political party. Do not say nor promote ASD as a political party. Yes.
Yes. I am Usman Samali, a freelance journalist, as you have rightly said. So what is your relationship with other civil rights organizations?
Well, like I said, we've had two organizations, Alliance of Social Democrats, and I've had the Africa Initiative. And if you remember, under the Africa Initiative, we did the peace conference back in, I think that was 2018, when the 3 years, Jotna, and 5 years for peace came. So under the Africa Initiative, we did those peace conference. We do a lot of initiatives and stuff like that. Even with these books that are here, they're from the Africa Initiative, partnered with Book Aid, which is over 1,000 books, which we are going to share across the country. But Alliance of Social Democrats is more of a social issue. It's more about good governance, and politically motivated, because we want people that are in office that can really take care of the Gambian people, not self. And I'm not part of the, I'm not in the papers. I'm just part of the executive. And if today I would be the president of the Gambia, then I am completely out from the Alliance of Social Democrats. That way, they can hold me accountable and hold whoever accountable. Even if we don't have a constitution that says that no third term, we are advocating for 2 terms, and we will make sure that happens. Because even through the votes, that's why we're encouraging people through their votes right now, 2026, even though we don't have that constitution yet, we don't have our constitution, we only have draft 24, draft 2020, whatever. People need to go and vote for the 2 terms. People need to come out at their numbers and vote for the 2 terms.
So what is your take if you are called by the ruling party to join them?
If I'm called by the ruling party to join them, they might have to fire the entire cabinet before I can join them. Yes.
Okay. In 2021,
Mhm.
you have been disqualified by IEC. Not
Yes.
only you, many candidates.
Yeah.
So in case 2026 also, you have been disqualified,
Mhm.
who are you going to throw your vote?
Well, we are not 20. I can't predict the future, but we are preparing for 2026. The disqualification came because I could not do my renunciation. Because at that time, the embassy was renovating. They said the embassy, it was right after COVID. COVID was still existent. I think we were all wearing masks, and they could not have me there. They did refer me to Senegal. And when I did call Senegal, I emailed them. I have the email proofs. They said, I have to do it on the country that I was born. I said, well, they said they're renovating and they can't do it. So there was a lot of back and forth, and that kind of delayed my process to for my renunciation. But we are more prepared for 2026, inshallah. We pray that Gambians really think about the way we want to do our politics. I know a lot of people say that they don't understand my politics or our politics, but we need to change the game. We need changes in the Gambia, and change is not easy. People are habitual. Gambians are habitual. Fuñ miin rek, fuñ tama, luñ tama rek, mom lañ xam. Waaye pour ñu change, xamuñ lan mooy change. Change nak dafa miti. Wow, dafa miti. But it takes that change for us to go and be where we're supposed to be.